Welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast, where we discuss and analyze your favorite marble sports. From JMR Marble League to Algodo tournaments, we'll make sure you never miss the action. All marble sports, all the time, right here on the MSW Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast. My name is Brendan.
And I'm Commander Wolf.
And we're about halfway through. We are about, not even about, we are halfway through.
We are.
Marble League 2021. And I honestly, I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. That's been on the top of my head today, though. Only thinking about that, block pushing and how we're halfway through and what things look like in the standings, which are pretty interesting. Overall, interesting standings. So that's been on my head. Also, we're still, our move was delayed. We were supposed to move to Florida today, yet tomorrow.
Oh.
And it's been delayed because of all the paperwork and the closing involved to late this week, early next week. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But hopefully that will go through. That's pretty much what I've been doing lately, just all the work for that, and working my own little job to get some money and stuff. So life's been boring, but Marble Sports certainly has not been boring. So I'm really excited to get into all the crazy things going on this week. Wolf, why don't you tell the fans something interesting? I usually have a fun story, but I gotta be honest, I'm really tired today, so I don't have a fun story, okay? You guys come up with a fun story and tell me the fun story.
Well, I guess it's not really a fun story, but just something that I found out, I was doing some test runs of potential wolf tunes, and seeing how you balance, there's balancing instrumental audio with vocal audio. And this is kind of trying to find that balance, and then I tested the instrumental I got actually, I got the original audio and compared it with each other, and their waveforms are basically the same even with vocals added in, and the instrumental is the same volume. And so I was just trying to figure out how on earth do you add in vocal audio without it affecting the overall volume of the entire track somehow. There's just some extra aspects of audio editing that are still beyond me that I just don't understand. And it's what? How am I supposed to do this? Because right now the way I do it is I will edit the vocal audio first, get the volume I kind of want, and then I will reduce the instrumental audio as necessary. But it seems that that's not how other people do it. So, but I don't know how they do it. So it's just all right.
So do you know how they do it now, or you want opinions?
I don't know how to do it now, but if someone could tell me how to do it, that'd be great. That probably would make the wolf tunes sound better. But right now, I'm the way I do it works. Still, it just means you kind of generally have to turn your own volume up when listening to it to actually get it to sound the same amount. It's almost a 6 to 10 volume difference between the two. So you can make up for it on your own. It's just that it's kind of weird that they know how to do it in a way that I don't.
Interesting. Actually, I can probably help you out with that. I have two people very knowledgeable about music production. One of them is just very knowledgeable and is getting into it, but he's not he's in a sense just getting into it, but a sense extremely, he knows a lot. He understands a lot about it. He's not beginner when it comes to the knowledge about it. And then the other guy, he actually is currently producing the first Marble Guy tunes, I guess, because of this. I guess it will go on as that when it comes out. So he probably knows.
You're doing
about
covers?
Yeah, I'm doing a cover. It's coming out.
Oh.
It's of a rap song because I'm more of that kind of guy. But it's not going to be Minecraft or whatever you did. It's going to be a little different. This particular one doesn't have a lot of bad language because some of them rap songs get a little crazy with the words. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be fun when it comes out. But he might be able to help you with some of these music balancing things. So maybe I'll try to ask him. If you have an actual specific question that might make sense to him, you can send it me later. I'll hook you up there.
Sure. I'll send it to you afterwards, see if you can maybe explain it.
All right. Well, with that being said, sounds like we are ready for today's episode. And we have a special guest coming on today who just messaged me during the intro. We thought he was going to be late, but he did message me. Hey! And now me and Waf get to be happy. Not really as happy as Team Momo, who's really killing it right now, but definitely happier than the Limas, who still suck. With that being said, Johnny Marble, take it away with the news, and we'll see you on the other side.
We'll see. I guess you didn't watch the other episode. I mean, Johnny might still be on his break, so I
know that you did the news last time, but I didn't know he was still on his break.
He probably still is. I haven't heard back from him, so I think that I might just be doing the news again.
All right, well then, okay, here we go. Then Johnny Waff, whoever's going to be.
Johnny Waff.
You better introduce yourself on the news as hello. Well, what does Johnny Marble say to introduce?
It's hello, Marble
Sports fans. I'm Johnny Waff here with the Marble Sports Worldwide News. You better do that. Or I'm banning you from the podcast and forever, and then Edu will be my co-host forever. All right? You have to. You promise?
We'll see.
Promise.
I promise to do that for this one.
All right, let's go to the news.
Hello, Marble Sports fans! I am Johnny Waff. No. I'm really Commander Wolf. Did I call myself Wolf? I did. Wow. Hello. Well, you know what? That's what Brendan asked for me, and I'm going to do it word for word. So there you go, Brendan. You got your Johnny Waff. But now, let's get to the news. First up, though, we are sponsored by the Marble Hotel. Wherever you roll, we'll be there. Event 7 of Marble League 2021, Hurdles, was quite interesting, as it revamped the event to actually have marbles jumping over real hurdles. This added an additional challenge to the event, as Iceberg from the Gliding Glaciers hit several hurdles and ended up not finishing. In the final run, Momo sped ahead of the competition to claim a dominant first place for Team Momo, leaving Clementon from the Rangers to take second, and Sublime barely beating Mocha to the line to earn a bronze for the Limers. And now for Event 8, Block Pushing, which returned to its original format from 2017, where the teams would run 4 times each and add up their 2 best runs for the result. This strength-based competition was off to an incredible start, as the Raspberry Racers broke the Marble League record in the very first run. After several exhausting runs, the Raspberry Racers emerged victorious, with the Green Ducks in second and the Gliding Glaciers in third. We're now halfway through Marble League, and the competition is really heating up, so you'd better not miss the events to come. Well, that's all for the news. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm Commander Wolf. You are the best fans in the world. Let's kick it on back with the podcast.
And we are back from the news. Thank you, Johnny Waff, for Marble Commander, for giving us the news. I don't know who did it, but whoever did it, I'm hoping that they started by saying, hello, Marble Sport fans. But I don't remember. So I hope that the news was as good if Waff was doing it than if Johnny Marble was doing it. But unfortunately, we all know that can't happen. Johnny Marble's too good. Johnny Marble's too good. All right.
It's too good.
Before we introduce our guest, I just want to touch real quick. Someone in the live chat begged us to make sure we mention that 100% of the goal for the funding of the Marble League video game has been reached. That's very exciting. We'll get to there's a Q&A that happened that we might be able to get information on in the future. I have to go watch it pretty much. And we might talk about it in a different episode. And I'm just excited to see what happens with the game. When the game comes out, I'm probably going to grind on that game a little bit and try to get like leaderboards, you know what I'm saying? Because it'd be so cool to be like, I'm one of the best Marble League video game players or whatever. So we'll see. But all of that aside, we're excited for that. We have a lot of Marble League to talk, though, so for now, we're going to backburn that and focus on Marble League. Today, we have a special guest. This particular guest, all right, I'm going to say this, was on the committee with me when I worked with Fubeka. Now, Fubeka is not my favorite human being on the planet, but this guy, on the other hand, was extremely fun to work with, a lot of good ideas, very dedicated to marble sports in general, definitely worth all the honor and praise that you can give him. Welcome to the show, Martinos da Vinci, as he goes by in Discord.
Hello.
And we'll call him, we'll just keep it simple, call him Martino for the day. But Martino, every time we have a first-time guest on the show, and Waff knows what's coming, we always ask him the same first question, the same initial question. So, Waff, say it with me at the same time. It's going to be not synced at all, but we're going to try it.
All right.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
How
did you get into marble sports? That wasn't bad.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit behind you, so that should hopefully delay. Like the delay should line up actually.
Just make our editors figure it out. All right. But how did you get into marble sports, Martino? How did you manage that?
So I think it was in January 2020. I discovered Fubeka's videos, like countries, races. And I found it very fun to watch, etc. So I joined the Discord server. I think I downloaded Discord with this.
Wait, was that that was the server that I had made, right?
Yes.
Right. Oh, so you came in about when I
Just
made
the
that
beginning.
server. That would have been like last year, right?
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Wow. So you're actually a recent marble sports enthusiast, which is interesting to hear. And so how did you then find JMR and get into that?
I think because you and other were talking about it in the server. So I put on YouTube GMR and I discovered this. And now I prefer GMR to Fubeka.
Oh, wow. So interesting how that switches. And I mean, honestly, I think it makes a lot of sense because JMR has a lot more of an organized and fan-focused, Dion, but has more fan-focused and engaging content than Fubeka. Fubeka's got good, like I said, good camera work and whatever, Ricochet is Ricochet when it comes to the commentary. But you get the joke, by the way, Martino, right? Ricochet? Like Ricochet and then Rick O'Shea. Do you get that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like it's very simple. And Waff doesn't get it, but it's just the guy's name is Rick O'Shea. Like he does commentary for Fubeka, Rick O'Shea, and then marbles in the video, Ricochet, and so that's the play on words. So, Ricochet. But anyway, yes. So his content is good, but definitely not as engaging as JMR. So who's your favorite JMR team?
I think it's Rangers, but for the color because it's not orange.
Well, the Rangers are a bit up and down this season. I mean, mostly down so far, but
they're doing better.
Yeah, they're in 5th overall. They had a medal, right? So, yeah, so they're in 5th overall. They have a medal, and you know what? Just hey, hang in there. I think I personally predicted them to win this season. We'll see. But I am rooting for Rangers all the way this season. I'm hoping for the best for you, Martino.
They'll make it.
They will. I agree. Anyway, thank you for telling us your journey into marble sports. But now let's jump into the events. We had 2 events this past week, since the last show. We had hurdles and we had block pushing. Two very interesting events for sure. That where both of them the format was changed up. Both of them the aesthetic was changed a little bit as well. So I'll defer to Waff here to begin. So Waff, first takes on hurdles, and you can drop your out of 10 rating on it as well. And we'll go around and do that. But just kind of talk about hurdles, because I know you were talking about something with 2016 at the beginning of the episode that I kind of didn't really catch, but I want to hear about what all that was with hurdles.
Yeah, so EG informed me and reminded me that in 2016, hurdles was semi-similar. Like, it was a downhill racing, but there was a gap between the tracks. There was like a Lego block that you could run into. So like we've had more a somewhat hurdles like kind of competition before, but this is definitely the closest to actual hurdles that we've ever seen. It is definitely my favorite version of hurdles. I actually really like it. It's a lot more challenging than hurdles has ever been because, like, as we saw, a marble could actually, get stuck on the hurdles and lose a lot of momentum. And at first I thought, maybe there should be a penalty point for, like, hitting the hurdles, but then I realized, like, well, hitting the hurdles themselves is already a penalty enough because it's going to slow the marble down. So, like if you hit that, you're basically done for. But it was very interesting to see, like, like them actually almost kind of leaping over it. It's like this is kind of what we've wanted for a long time, and it's like it's great to see it finally. I would say that, like, maybe the one complaint I have is that the hurdles I couldn't actually see them because of how white they were. Like, they blended in with the ramp and the walls.
I agree with that.
I couldn't actually tell if there were actual hurdles or not until like a few minutes into the video. It's like, oh, okay, there they are. So definitely for future references, either use colored material for printing or paint them if you have the time, just because, like, it's so hard to see.
Yeah.
But,
oh, okay. I thought
yeah,
you were done.
I forgot to give the rating. Sorry. Rating, I guess, 8 out of 10. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. That's a good take on hurdles. Martino, hurdles. What do you think?
I like the new format, like the ramps instead of thing.
Yeah, like the pendulums you call them. That they ran into the little poles.
The flaps.
But flaps were good too.
Yeah, and like, if you were gonna give it a between 1 and 10 rating, what would you give that? 8's fair. I think.
Right.
Yeah, all around 8's good, and I mean, we'll get into the marbles in a second. I want to hear because obviously that was a good for the O'Rangers, so you're probably pretty happy about that. But I mean. Off of Waff said, because it was a little bit tough to see. Like, how long did it take you to realize that there were actually little hurdles in front of the ramps?
When the Savage Speeders nearly stopped and took the hurdles. Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah, and then it became apparent for sure. All right then, so my personal, I'll give you mine. For me, I hate to do this, because I don't like to give this number out often. But I have to give it a 10 out of 10. I am kind of like legally binded to giving this a 10 out of 10. And the reason why I am is because 1 year ago, both time hurdles showed up when we talked about it on the podcast. Both times I said hurdles would be amazing if it was this. If they actually had hurdles to jump over. If they went up little ramps, jumped over hurdles, and fell back on the track. I said this. Find the episode. I don't know where it is. I can't, like, refer to the correct episode. But I know for sure that multiple times I did say this. I did reference this being the best way to do hurdles. I referenced this being a strong idea. I did reference also not really knowing exactly how to make it work. But, of course, they figured that out at JMR. Themselves.
Yeah, I feel like it was in our discussion maybe around the time that hurdles happened in 2020. We were like, oh, well, how would this work? It's like, well, we could do ramping, but then they might accidentally fly into the other track. And so, like, that was concerns that we had, I remember. But I guess, like, they managed to make the ramp not too, too steep, or I guess too sharp to, actually have that being an issue.
Yeah,
so,
and no, what they did is, they had the ramp have more of a I guess what would be concave or convex? So it's like sticking out, so it's instead of like curving in and then going into a really big kind of high jump type form where the ball really has airtime, they kind of fall off the ramp. I don't know how to, you know what I mean? Like instead of having the ramp kind of curve upwards, it kind of curves upwards at the beginning and then curves downwards at the end. So that kind of, anyway, go ahead. You wanted to say something? Oh no,
he's just agreeing.
Oh, he's just agreeing. Sorry. So that kind of does change it. Instead of like having this huge jump every time and stopping all momentum, they kind of flow forward, fall, and there's actually a hurdle there, though it does affect it. That was beautiful, and so I have to, because I did complain about this multiple times. I did multiple times, it wasn't just once, and I did say this is a way to fix it. Even though I think it's more of an 8 or 9 out of 10 as far as my enjoyment of watching it, and of course the white making it hard to see the hurdles in front of the ramps. It also took me a few times to see the hurdles too. I have to give us a 10 because it's pretty much like I asked for something and they followed through on that. So this will be kind of a 10 with an asterisk on it for sure. But I mean, it was a really enjoyable event to watch, definitely. And I'm looking at I have it pulled up here on the Chrome, the 2016 Marble League, and they have a similar idea, except they actually have the whole track angle downwards and like slowly fall over Lego bricks instead of having the track angle at a specific incline and then have ramps that angle up and down. So it's definitely a little bit more basic, but it still had a better idea, I'd say, than just hitting the weird pendulums and you just pretend that's a jump. Interesting that it kind of comes full circle in the end, you know?
Yeah, and like that's something I've been interested about. So like in the trailers for the game at the start of the videos, they still have the hurdles being like the flap things, and I'm trying to figure out like, did they wanted to hide that, like, because the trailer was out before hurdles happened, so were they trying to hide that they actually had hurdles now and they're going to add that into the game now? Or did they just have those assets pre-prepared ahead of time? It's like, well, we already are making the event this way, we're just going to keep doing it?
I mean, I don't know. That's actually a really good question. I actually don't know. I would assume that if it's showed that in the preview, that will how it would be in the regular game. I would like to see the good hurdles in the regular game, but I mean, who knows? Who knows how it's actually going to work? But yeah, I'm looking at hurdles now. Definitely, you can. Now that I know that the hurdles are in front of the ramps, I can easily see them. But at first, they kind of get lost, I will say. And the ramps don't add too much of a jump, as if to kind of hurt the whole run. So that's kind of nice, you know, like where all the momentum would be lost by getting too much air time. So they really did balance it out pretty well, I have to say, on that note. So on that note, let's talk about performance. Martino, talk about the O'Rangers. I mean, like, obviously this has been their best performance so far this season, and they kind of needed it too. But I mean, even doing better than the speeders and things like that. What do you think about that?
So very great performance. Silver medal, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I can't remember the times exactly, but the first one was great. I think they won the race.
Yeah. They did win, I believe. Actually, let me go to the O'Rangers here on the Chrome so we can get a look at them. I know they were towards the end here. Oh, here we go.
I want to say 8.26 or 8.621 for some reason as the time for the Rangers. Don't ask me how I know that. That just feels like
that's
the number.
Funny that you know that. Yeah, they actually did win the overall first heat, and they did start in first, but towards the last few, Clementon obviously being one of the veteran of the O'Rangers, he's really really good, but. Towards the end, he really picked up the speed, and he just bolted right ahead at the end. So it was a sight to see. It was graceful. All right, the O'Rangers really looked like they knew what they were doing in this event,
and they were very consistent. All their points were in the 1/10, I think, range.
Oh, really? Actually, let me jump to the end and check that, because that sounds. Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. They are all within about 1/10 of a second. That's a good point. That does add to the consistency, and consistency. consistency is like important for long-term marble sports. Obviously, a more consistent marble is a marble you're going to be more confident with back in 5-meter hurdles next year. A marble that's going to be able to can improve at a run time and then stay there, not just be like, okay, one time get a run time of like 8.7, but then next time, drop back to 9.5. So like it's that consistency is going to be really important for the Rangers. But you expect that, right? I mean, they're the veteran team. They should be doing that. So they're living up to good expectations there, for sure.
Agreed. Yeah. It was 8.868. So I don't know where the 621 came from, but for some reason that number's in my head. And I'm trying to figure out what that number might be related to. I don't know. Maybe I just pulled it out of my butt. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see a 621 here. So anywhere. So I don't know. Maybe it'll come to you later.
Maybe.
But I mean, of course. I guess unfortunately for my fantasy team, the star of the show was Momo with 8.169 out there as well on the track, which is crazy. I think that was a record, new record. Right?
It was very close. It was very close to the record by only like 400ths of a second, something like that.
Yeah,
which,
well,
it'll be in the video. You can see in the go back to one of the heats. It'll be in the top right corner of like the heat result board.
Oh, okay. Maybe I can do that. But yeah, I mean, talk about Momo.
I'm just like, wow, that was crazy. Like Momo did hurdles this time, and they just zoomed ahead. They were jumping so smoothly and effortlessly. It's like it was a beautiful thing to watch. Honestly, like that's just like it was just so incredible. Like if not mistaken, Momo is actually really good in hurdles in the past few years too. I can check.
Well, I'm taking a look at Momo's run here. They start in the lead, and oh my god, it's like they had a Red Bull halfway through. I mean, after the first 3 hurdles, they're just gone, and they get faster and faster. Like acceleration is unreal. It does look unnatural. It really does look unnatural for a second there. So I mean that was just crazy to see. And Momo's just been killing it this year. So I mean it just kind of goes along. I mean that's what that is to me. That is momentum to me. Momentum actually. So I say momentum. It's like a joke. I say momentum because a YouTuber says. YouTuber I watch says momentum instead of momentum, and I would sometimes just say that as the normal word. But that's momentum to me. That win right there, because they come off, of course, a lot of good performances earlier on in the season. Then they come to hurdles and they're doing well in hurdles, but then just this blast of energy, this unnatural energy that is just built up momentum and excitement and just team morale from the previous events where they really feel like they have a chance right now. You really do feel like at the halfway point of this season, Momo does have a chance to win. So I think that was just a statement right there. Like Momo really is going to be able to separate themselves, like not just from the mid pack, not just from the some of the good teams, but even from teams like the Savage Speeders. I don't think the Savage Speeders, I don't know who holds the hurdles records, probably the Savage Speeders, but I don't think the Savage Speeders would be able to perform that good, that consistently in 5-meter hurdles.
I believe it's the Midnight Wisps. I'm looking back at the hurdles records for Momo. They got a 4th and a 6th in like 2016 and 2017. Momo actually did hurdles in 2019, and they got 12th. So the fact that they got first this time is a pretty massive improvement for them.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean that's pretty much hurdles. There's not too much else here that is really notable. Honestly, obviously, hurdles was good for the O-Rangers, so made me happy for a moment. But I mean, gliding glaciers did not perform well in this particular, trying to find the freaking standing. The gliding glaciers, they DNF, they couldn't even get over the hurdles, and that was kind of interesting to see. What that does show me, that's nice to see, is that a DNF is possible in hurdles, because that was never possible with the old way with the little pendulums. It was just like hopefully they hit the pendulums and don't slow down that much. You never felt like a real hurdles match where, people knock over hurdles or get tripped up in the hurdles. Now that's possible, and we see it happen. Gliding Glacier's like, we're not even going to finish. All right? I mean, so I don't know. I just kind of appreciate that that's a new aspect of hurdles where the marbles just may not be able even to get it done. But hurdles is kind of stratified in a way that's been very telling for who really is a good team. I mean, obviously Shining Swarm and Rojo Rollers struggle. Indigo Stars struggled. Melee Yellow struggled. Mini Maniac struggled. Hazers, who didn't do good in block push either, are struggling here. Green Ducks, who have not been consistent, have struggled this year. I've been struggling this year, have struggled on hurdles. I mean, and on the other side of the coin, Momo comes through strong. O'Rangers comes through strong. Limers came through really strong. In veteran team, they're going to stick to something. Cat's Eyes came through strong, and you figured they would with the more speed-based events. Savage Speeders were lacking, but, I mean, it's hard to argue with them since they're still in third place overall.
Yeah. I just found that number that I pulled out of my butt. I finally found it. So the record is 8.126. So I flipped the decimal numbers, and the record is held by Yellow Eye, actually.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's an interesting record. And actually, Yellow Eye did race this time. And Yellow Eye didn't even get close to that record. Yellow Eye had 9-1 and 8-6 and 8-8. So they're gonna have to get out in there in the practice hurdle. Martino, any other standout things for you as far as the hurdles?
I think that what's good is that they managed to keep the old Marble League records with the times that are approximately the same. So it's not completely new event, just the form.
Oh, that's a very solid point. So even though they changed the format, it's not like the times are completely different, right? I see that, because that would be bad. That would be bad if like all the old hurdle records are thrown out the window because this one either takes 7 seconds or 20 or something. Top Ranky, but I think new to the show. Because I haven't seen him before, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Momo's gonna pull away like CCE did in M1, because that was a little absurd. That was overkill pull away. But I could see them actually winning, though, and we'll talk about that. But anyway, back to what Martina was saying. Martina, anything else you wanted to say, about Momo or anything? All right, fair enough. So, do you want to talk about fantasy about this event? Well, let's wait for fantasy for after, right? Let's do it.
Yeah,
after,
let's wait for fantasy after.
All right. So, for me, again, I gotta say this is a big thing for me and the Rangers. I said back at the end of last episode that there needs to be a good performance from the Rangers here. There has to be. This has to be a turnaround. If the Rangers are going to show that they're going to be a team to be reckoned with over the course of the end of the Marble League, they have to perform well in the hurdles. It's an event they usually do well at. Okay? It's a basic skill. It's an event that, well, it's number 7, so they have to start performing at some point. So luckily they did. Luckily they're still in the game, and they did well in block push as well. They did okay in block push, but it was good enough to move up a little more in the standings. But that's had to happen. They have to put themselves in a position to be looking towards the top of the standings, not sinking low. So it's good to see them up there. But that does bring us to block push, which I now have up here on the Chrome. We'll go to Martino first. Martino, thoughts on block push? Definitely give you a rating out of 10 as well. Just say whatever you want about it.
I think that the new block is a good idea. Like with the 4 marbles, that could be it even could be quicker, but they made 4 runs for each, so that's too long, I think.
What do you mean?
Like only to push the block twice.
Oh, you mean there's you think 4 is too many, you're saying? Okay. I mean that's fair. I mean, why do you think 4 is too many? Cuz I always think that the 4 might even be good to give some sort of consistency. Like, do you just think it's too many because the video is long, or do you think it's too many because it shouldn't be necessary, or what do you think?
I don't know, but 40 minutes of block pushing, that's long. Maybe too long.
That's fair enough. Maybe.
Yeah. What was interesting is like I went back to check on this, and 2016 block pushing was the exact same format. So like,
with the 4.
Yeah, and like the amount of runs that end up happening for in total in the video is basically the same as if it was like just like doing 2 runs per team and like the 2x2. So I don't know if I think the length of the videos is roughly the same, but because we see the same teams racing each other 4 times, it feels like it's dragging on a lot longer. They might have also added in more like shots and replays, which padded at the time compared to 2016's video. But
yeah, they did have a lot of replays in this one.
Yeah, I can kind of see like the benefit of it is that like it gives the teams multiple chances to really get a good score, which is nice, but it's like the feel of it, I feel like it makes it feel more tedious than in past years. I guess one thing that I have to say about the blocks themselves is like before they were like kind of a cylinder in the marble track, and so basically I think it was almost impossible for them to be slanted. They were always nice and flat, but because these are blocks now on this track, it makes it harder for I guess I imagine the editors who had to go through and figure out where it's lined up at, because they got to do it at the closest part of the block to the marbles. So instead of just being a constant flat line that they can just line up and like, okay, well, where's the point on the block at, and it's like, but it does also add more strategy and more, I guess, randomness, because now the block could I think this happened to the Arrangers or the Hazers, where the block was kind of slanted and it just dragged itself across the wall, which made him get a very small distance. So it does make it more challenging as well. So it's not just a pure strength event. It's now also I guess coordination.
Yeah, and just keeping yourself directed in the right in the center, right, and not letting not letting brute unfiltered strength rule the day here. You have to have a little bit of finesse out there in the block pushing. Okay. And I'm going to get to my opinions on it in a moment, but we'll flip back over to Martino. If you want to drop that rating out of 10 on this event, how much did you enjoy it?
I would say 7, because it was still fun to watch. But I think it was too long, but that's the only bad point.
Okay, that's fair. I think it was a little long. Usually they keep the videos to about 10 minutes. Personally, I got to give this 9 out of 10. I really do. I really like it. I really do. I love the 4 per team. What that shows to me is that a marble has to be consistent to be good. You can't just come down and have one good push and be that's fine. And you also can't just come down and have one bad push and be like, I have to sit with that. You have to come down, you have to do well twice, because it adds the 2 best times. And you get 4 chances to do that. And you have a brick that wiggles slightly in the path, so you have to be a little more careful where you position yourself. There's a lot more to it now. All right, and being able to see every team really get a chance to push hard is really nice. I do agree the cylinder moves around less laterally and twists less, but I think it looks a lot better with the actual wooden blocks and the trough. Maybe they can make it a little narrower so that the block slides a little less. But besides that, I think the cylinder connects block, or whatever the cylinder was from, it just was weird. Didn't seem like a block. Mm-hmm. Oh, was it Corsetti? Oh yeah. It was like the block that to hold up the little rails, the sky rails. I know what you mean. Kind of like the rails. If you any guys watch the Racing Marble League, which by the way is still coming back. They're in a big hiatus and editing and stuff, but they'll be coming back for that B League soon. When they have in the tryouts, when they have those rail sections, it's the blocks that hold up those, same company. I know what you mean, but there's a lot of dynamic to this, and honestly, the strategy that I saw working well this year was being able to keep your front three marbles tightly packed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you had to do. If you could do that, then you could usually have a very strong push. Okay, you could get out there, and then you had that fourth marble to tap you a little bit further. That's where the strong pushes came. When you were like the Savage Speeders here in the video right now, where those first three get separation, I mean, you don't have that strong push at the end, unlike the Green Ducks, who actually really did well, almost broke the record in block pushing. So, I don't know. I personally think that the strategy here, there's a lot of different things. There's keeping those front three marbles together. It's staying straight in your lane, making sure the marbles are backed up right behind each other, making sure that all that power transfers to the block at the same time. Make sure you stay with the block as you push it. Don't push it once and then fall away. You got to stay on top of it so that you can continue to push it as far as it can go. That fourth marble needing to come in at the right time so that when it hits that third marble, it's hitting that third marble through into the block, not hitting that third marble, losing energy, and then finally getting for that extra tap. So there's a lot of strategy involved in this event. There's a lot of teamwork demanded, and it really is fun to watch all the different pushes and see, wow, sometimes a team will literally get 55, and then the next time they'll get 85. And actually, the Rangers were a great example of that. They came out and had a couple 65s, but they turned it around and had an 85 later on down the line. Later in their push section, I think it was number 3 push. They had a really good one. So just a lot going on there. And I just always enjoy block pushing. It's a real classic of Marble League as well. So, if anything to say to that.
So I went back and looked at all the lengths of all the past block pushings. Also, apparently I might have actually said that it was in 2016. I apologize. There was no block pushing in 2016. It was 2017 first. Just trying to be factual. We are after all the let me get there we go. Marble sports connoisseurs.
Apparently. Wait, do you have the monocle up right now?
I did.
Oh, awesome. I hope those viewers enjoy that.
Yeah, so 2017 was 10 minutes, which is at the same format as what this one did. Then in 2019, it was the two lane format, 7 minutes. Then 2020, it was the same format at 9 minutes. So I feel, but in those 2 lane formats, they still had 16 runs. It's just that there was just 2 runs per team, not 4. So it should relatively be the same length, but it wasn't. Counting out the first 30 seconds being the game ad, of course, that's still a lot. I think a lot of time where they just did a whole lot of replays that lasted probably longer than normal. So the event itself, I do like it. I think you're right. Having the block there instead is nice, but looking at it as a whole, a product in terms of the video itself, they definitely made it drag on. And I think I prefer the 2x2 format because even though it doesn't give the teams as many opportunities, it does make it feel like it's not as repetitive. And it makes it feel like it's going by faster than it actually is. So I think I'll give it a 7 out of 10, honestly.
That's an interesting take. I don't know. I couldn't disagree more. I guess I just couldn't. And and you guys are both making the same point, really, you and Martino. He said virtually the same thing. But I just, seeing each team really get 4 pushes, really get to see them adapt across 4 pushes to really put their best out there and show that they can be consistent block pushers. That's, I think, so important. And that was, I think, key for me. I really liked to see that. As opposed to only seeing it be over in 2 and the 2x2. So I don't know.
I mean, to be fair to it, I am kind of tired. I watched it while I was at work and all that stuff. So it's I might not be as fair to it as maybe it deserves. Especially since I've had a few days to sit with hurdles, whereas block pushing I've only had a few hours.
That's fair. But in that case, 7 out of 10, 9 out of 10, they're all good. I mean, we're not giving anyway 3 out of 10s. We're not talking about any black hole funnel here. So that's good to see.
Yeah, they're still progressively doing better. I guess maybe like one nitpick is that like there was no, I guess, desert theming with this one, but I don't see how they could have done that. Like that wouldn't be distracting, you know?
They should have to push a cat luck or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, triathlon is next, and I think that might be an opportunity not just for some change in the standings, since hazers are really good in water, but also maybe there might be some more theming if they can do it right. Maybe,
and they got the sand in there if you see the preview, so that's going to be good. I'm excited for triathlon too. I just want to see how that rolls for some of these marbles. I'm interested for that. So most surprising performance. I'm going to go first here because I'm really excited about this. Raspberry Racers, man. I mean, we talked about this early on the season. I just really enjoy this because it kind of does confirm what we dubbed the Raspberry Racers as, and that is a very high teamwork-based team. A team that's not necessarily your best team, even though they've won a Marble League, so they are really good, but they're best known for working together very well. Collision, block pushing, relay, those usually the Raspberry Racers excel at. So it was really nice to see them like work just monstrously as a team. They destroyed the record by about 6 to 7 centimeters. It was crazy. It was about 85 at first, and now it's 90, about 94, 92. So I don't know. I just thought that was really fun to see. To see them do so well. Also, our Rangers did okay. They moved up to 5th overall, and that does look good. They were in 13th before, and they came back early enough to jump up into that 5th spot, and now they have to work it. They have to work it. Triathlon has to be good for the Rangers. All right? On the other hand, I am disappointed in the speeders for a team that is so fast and usually so influential together. They did terrible. They really did not do well. The Cat's Eyes, also very disappointing. You'd think you'd expect more from them. Glaciers, on the other hand, gotta say as well, also very impressive. Like they came out, for a rookie team, they came out very strong in block pushing. Actually had a really far push of about 84 in the first push, or in the second one when the Raspberry Racers broke the record. So that was fun to see. But those are my surprises. On to you guys.
I'll just go Martinez. You can go ahead and go Martinez.
So Team Momo, they were disappointing. They were second in 2020, and now they're 9th, even though they were in a good momentum with the last events. I think they should have done better.
I mean, yeah, on top of that, they were also second the previous time before 2020. They were second both times block pushing was an event they competed in. So to see them get 9th after really coming off of something very high, it was disappointing for sure. They didn't have any sort of consistency, and their teamwork was a little lopsided.
Yeah, that is a bit sad to see, but they've been on such an incredible run this season that I wasn't really going to hold against them this time around, even though it is something that they are generally good at, block pushing. But, like, I mean, they're still doing so good that it's like, I'm willing to forgive it as long as it doesn't cost them.
I mean, listen, Waff. We have to be real about this. I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of teams in striking distance, but not doing well in this event is hurtful. I mean, right now, Raspberry Racers are now pulled even exactly in medal count, a gold, 2 silvers, and a bronze. They are less than 10 points behind, so they are easily able to take over the lead in the next event. Savage Speeders are slowly making their speedy and insidious climb to the top of the standings with 80 points. Savage Speeders get 1 gold in triathlon, which is an event they're very likely to do well in. I mean, they're right up there challenging both Racers and Momo. So, I mean, not really a good event for Momo to fail on.
Well, but don't forget though, in triathlon with its water section, Momo is one of the best underwater racers. So at least 1/3 of that race they pretty much have down already from the get-go.
Yeah, but even 1/3 of the Rojo Rollers relay was impressive to watch. I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that's enough to predict something. I actually personally think Momo's not going to do well in triathlon. I do not see them doing well. No, because you start with Marbula 1 track. And you have a pretty good section of it. And I'm going to tell you for sure that Momo is not a strong Marbula 1 team, bar some of their interesting races. The majority of Momo's time in Marbula 1 is not impressive. And that's where you start. And when it comes to racing, especially when you have a whole pack of marbles, I'm assuming you'll be at least 4 out there. I don't know how they're going to do it. But when it comes to racing in that open field, when it's not lane to lane, if you start bad, you finish bad most of the time. Look at San Marble Rally. Not many marbles that start in the back finish in the front, unless there's a big moment that really is able to stratify them. And in triathlon, I don't know if you're going to have that. I
mean, all I'll say is that triathlon in 2020, Momo got second.
But that's different. The format of triathlon has changed every time, and I think they removed a section of that. I don't know.
Triathlon in 2020, which is the only time that they've run triathlon, it had the M1 track at the beginning. It then had I think it had the Magic Sand, or it was Magic Sand, then to M1 track, then to underwater.
Magic Sand, and then to... Okay, we'll have to end with underwater, of course, because the water would have to be at the bottom. But, I mean, listen, I don't know. Maybe that's something to go off of. But if in my personal opinion, I can't put my stake in Momo to be strong in triathlon. And maybe I'll be wrong, but that's just my personal opinion. And I think that, while, I mean, of course, they're still first place. They still have a long way to go. But if Momo really wants to win this season, block pushing, where they usually do, with a podium usually, probably wasn't the best event for them to turn bad on. And because on top of that, you have a lot of long racing events coming. You have Marble Marathon, you have Sand Rally coming up that is going to be tough on Momo. Then you have some other weird events like diving coming back in there, soccer throwing itself in there, which is always very luck-based and always very all over the place for these marbles. I don't know. I mean, this might, when you look back on this season, right? When you look back at event 16 and if Momo ends in second or third or hopefully not worse, you might say, well, Momo needed to do good in block pushing again. Okay? I'm just saying, it's a possibility on the table.
Sure. I'm sure it will. It'll probably end up being. It'll definitely make it a more close competition. But I also remember, block pushing was different. It was at least a little bit different this year. So I don't know. I don't know what it was. I really needed to get some time to rewatch block pushing to see the individual performances, because there were so many. That's another problem with doing the 4x4. There are so many you have to watch all at once. That's hard to kind of catch it all in your first viewing.
I mean, that could be fair. It's a fair criticism. Anyway, Martino, what do you think? Do you think block pushing needed to have been a podium for Momo?
I don't know if they needed it because they're still in first place. But being 20 points ahead is better than only a few points, I think. And maybe they'll be stressed out before triathlon and they'll do a bad performance because of stress. And I think they could have done better to do better next day. But maybe this will encourage them to do even better and to go over the limits. But I don't know.
Fair enough. And we'll have to see. Only time will tell. Obviously, this Friday will reveal that. But I mean, I don't know. I think this could be hard on Momo. I really do, and it does put stress on them. It does put pressure on them. I agree, especially with the likes of the Savage Beaters. I mean, only one event from really being a threat here. And if you think this, I mean, I told you guys at the beginning of this, and they started bad. The Savage Beaters started bad, but I mean, they're in third place right now. And if you think the Savage Beaters are going to lay down and not perform right now, you're wrong. They have a gold already. They're not happy with 1 gold. There's a very good chance they're going to be the first team with 2 golds because they probably will do well in triathlon. So the Savage Beaters become a threat. I can't speak as much for the O-Rangers. I'm not really sure about where the O-Rangers stand, but the Savage Speeders are coming. The Raspberry Racers, they're not any different. They're coming. They're coming even stronger right now than the Speeders. So Momo's got to be ready. They got to perform coming up here.
That is a very like the top of the standings. That's a very scary team teams to go against, like Rangers, Speeders. You got Raspberry Racers. Like that is that's some top tier stuff. Oh, can we talk about the Thunderbolts right now? Like what the heck? They're in 6th place and they have no medals.
They're in 4th place.
4th place. They're in 4th place and they have no medals.
No, and that's the kind of thing you see a lot from the Thunderbolts. And this is why every time you talk about the Thunderbolts and people will say, oh, well, the Thunderbolts are a solid pick for your fantasy. The Thunderbolts are a solid team in general that you should you be paying attention to. My problem with the Thunderbolts is they don't win. Okay, they don't. And you don't want to pick an average team. You want to pick a winning team. Okay.
4th place is an average. They are
no,
consistent.
but like this. No, but 4th place doesn't stand 8 events from now if they cannot put any medals up on the boardwalk. So I can't. It's hard for me to look at. I almost look at Rangers and Chocolatiers and Hazers and look a lot more favorably, even down to Green Ducks, than I do with the Thunderbolts because they have medals 1, even 2 up on the board right now. You cannot hold a top 5 spot after 16 events in a Marble League with no medals. You can't do it.
I want to see it happen now.
You won't do it. No, you won't do it. It will not happen. So I don't. Thunderbolts are always tough for me because I want to see them get medals. I want to see them put some bronzes up there at least. I need to see some golds from the Thunderbolts. Then I can talk about the Thunderbolts. Right now, I personally think the Rangers and the Chocolatiers are a bigger threat to Mobo right now than the Thunderbolts.
Well, Savage Speeders, obviously, but Chocolatiers, where are they at right now? Is it 5th?
They're in 6th and 72 points. They have
6th.
a gold.
I mean, the gap between the Thunderbolts and the other teams is not that big. You're right, but I'm just saying. I just wanted to point out the fact that we're 8 events in, and a team is that high up with no medals. Like that's just kind of crazy. Because what's the record again? Was it the Team Galactic in 6th place with no medals?
I mean, yeah, and that's Team Galactic, and something we can all say about Team Galactic that rings true through every single Marble League they competed in is that they always do well, but they never do great. And that's not how you want to be known in the Marble League. I mean, yeah, it's a funny joke. Galactic is always 5th or 6th. But I mean, that's not a team that necessarily is going to find your way under the fantasy. That's not a team that necessarily is going to be something when I look at the standings and I'm going to be like, that's a threat. Because that's not a team that I'm going to see do anything more past 4th. The Thunderbolts do not show us a type of momentum where I'm like, wow, I'm scared that they're going to take 1st now. I'm just like, wow, they're going to take up space in the top 6.
Oh,
I mean, that's honestly what I see about the Thunderbolts. So, I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, but
what do you think, Martinos?
Yeah.
I'm not much a connoisseur, so I don't even know their past performances, so I can't tell what I think they can be a good surprise, as much as bad surprise, and there's only nearly 1 victory between them and the Midi Maniacs, who are 16. So everything can change in one event, except the top 2, I think.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know. All I'm saying is that Martino, I want to hear what you have to think about this. But do you think that, as far as a team making a valid run for 1st place, do you think that a show of medals is important? Or do you think the Thunderbolts just being consistent and being in top 4 with no medals, that's a fine threat just as much as someone like the Rangers or the Speeders?
middles are definitely important because if you're fourth, you have 12 points, and if you're first, you've got 25, which is
Right.
double. So, of course, a middle is very important and it brings points, where,
Yeah.
of course, the opponents don't get as much points, as many.
Yeah, and well, of course, Akanon, our live chatter, one of my favorites, of course, coming in saying that the scoring system needs rebalancing. But I mean, of course, I disagree because it's Akanon, and I always disagree with him. I mean, that's Martino. I think Martino makes a great point. That's something we also have to remember, is that when you medal, you get a distinctly higher amount of points. Okay, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, to completely disagree with Akanon, I think it's a very good thing, because what it's saying is that being in the top 3 is how you win Marble League, not getting fourth the whole time. Because if the point system was not like that, if you didn't double the points from fourth to first, then you could, in theory, get fourth the whole way through and win. And I personally think that's not okay. I personally think that's not a correct representation of what a winning Marble League team should look like. A winning Marble League team should have medals. That shows that they win. They don't just do well, they win. They can be better than all the teams.
I mean,
And
like,
a fourth the whole way through will rarely, probably is a weird situation where it's possible, but it probably will never win because of the scoring system being done correctly in this particular case. That shouldn't be praised. Fourth place should not be praised. I cannot stress it enough. It shouldn't be. Because it's fourth place. You have 3 teams better than you, all that deserve way more praise for that. And so they should have way more points. Waff.
I was just gonna say that I could have sworn I remember you saying that, like, about talking about how important consistency is in like a previous episode at some point. So like,
You misconstrue. Because when I talk about consistency, I talk about the importance of consistency as a skill for... my headphone fell off. As a skill for a winning team. If you are the Savage Speeders, you can't be a good Savage Speeders if half the events you get first place and half the events you get 16th place. Because that's not an honorable team. That's not a team where you look at and you're like, okay, all around that is a strong team. Because you're like, what about all those 16 places? Yeah, they can get first in these, but I mean, like, really, those 16 places are shitty. I'm talking about consistency is the core of a good team. You need to be able to go out there and be like, I am confident that the majority of events in this Marble League, we will finish top 8. But that does not mean that there should not be events where a first place or second place finish is not very important, even paramount. It needs to happen. Consistency should be the step taken to get to the medal finishes, not the place where you're like, we're here, we're done. So fourth place for every single event in Marble League, in my opinion, is not good. It's consistent, but consistency should be your base. And you should put medals up on the board. I would say a good Marble League winning team should have 4 medals. I mean, they really should have at least 4 medals. I have to. They have to have 4 medals, and they should be rewarded for those medals.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like, I really didn't even like bring up the Thunderbolts at all to like say that, oh, they're a contender to win. I'm just saying, like, it's impressive. All right, like, that's all. Like, yeah, if they're gonna win this, they'll definitely have to get some medals. Like, I don't think it's possible actually for them to win without medaling at all. I don't think that statistically actually, and I mean, I think statistically it technically is possible, but we know that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, it's just very rare. And I just want to point out, before we praise consistency too much, I just want to point out that there's a reason why Thunderbolts aren't the first ones on my mind when we talk fantasy. There's a reason Team Galactic aren't the first ones on my mind when we talk fantasy. Not because I think they're bad, not because I don't respect their skill in the Marble League, but because they don't have the same drive that even Rangers, Hazers, Green Ducks, especially Speeders, especially Raspberry Racers, Team Momo this year definitely have. So with that being said, though, we gotta jump forward here to some emails. get everybody's opinion, and then we'll end with the retrospective because we're actually running far already. Halfway point. I think halfway point. All I can say is I don't think the Rangers are out of it yet. I don't think the Speeders are out of it yet. I think Momo is in good standing, but still needs to step on the gas here later on. I think the Crazy Cat's Eyes are the biggest disappointment for me. Because the Glaciers I can't be too disappointed about because they're a new team. And they actually they have 2 bronzes, all right? Give them a chance. All right? The Crazy Cat's Eyes are a disappointment because they lack consistency. They lack what they need to be. They're not Thunderbolts at all. That's why consistency is important. You need to have some Thunderbolts in you. Right? They lack some of that consistency. They did terrible in block pushing, but they did really good in some other racing events. And then they lacked in certain racing events, but made up for it in others. Relay was terrible for them, but 5-meter sprint was good. It's been very weird for the Cat's Eyes. So the second half, they could turn things around because they won gold and they could jump up to 4th, but it's kind of tough to tell with them, and they've been a disappointment, and the Limers are what they are. So halfway point, I honestly, my eyes are on Momo. My eyes, of course, always on the Speeders. You can't ever forget about them. And I just am pulling, and I want to see the Rangers come back here. One more thing, we of course Akanon continues to write in here. He says, "I like underdogs and storylines and a scoring system that values consistency and actual made and an actual made a medalist win possible would be so fucking cool." I don't know why I hesitate to say that. I've used that word on the show before. Not easy, of course, but possible. All I can say to that is that in the current scoring system, it is possible to get 4th every single event and win. And all I'm saying is, okay, if you can get 4th all 16 events, then I think that's worth some respect, because that means you have medial mastery over 16 different actions. So yes, that's worth respect. And if you got 4th in every single event, all 16 as a team, you probably would win. That would definitely be enough points to win. Because 16 times like the 12 points, if you actually want to do that number calculated, 16 times 12, you're looking at 192, which actually is close to usually what a first place team has at the end of a Marble League. What is the winning number? I feel like 192 or like 210 is what we usually see.
Yeah, I feel like the 190s is actually a winning number, is it not?
It's a podium number. I'd have to look at the scores from Razzie. No, but the Raspberry Racers were crazy in 2019. That's a special case. But my point being is that overall strong consistency can win if it's very extreme. Where it's not just 8 events they got 4th and the rest they kind of stratified the pack. They were really 4th the whole time. All right? But even though, my problem with that is that every time you praise the 4th place finisher, you unglorify the 1st place finisher. And so why praise the person who has medial mastery, and not the person, the team, then praise the team who has mastery? And my personal thing, and when it comes to Marble League, is that you want to praise the team that is able to have mastery over 4 or 5 of the events over the 16. That's where you want to put your praise. Not the team that second bested all the events. That has to be where the praise goes.
Yeah,
it would be cool, but we shouldn't change the scoring system to favor 4th place finishers. That's all I'm saying.
All right, let's move on to the emails because we're kind of running long here.
We are running long here. We may have to postpone the team primary. Anyway, so emails. Alex is cool. is making us a bowling Mr. Waff's bowling alley diorama. So it looks pretty good so far. We'll show you that when it finally comes out on the somewhere.
The links from episodes.
Got a couple emails. Please email us, mswpodcast@gmail.com. You can say anything, and we'll talk about it here on the show and give you credit for it. But here we go. Block pushing format from Richard Hingley. The top 4 should have gone again with the top team in the lane that they did the best in, and the next team in the lane that did this best in, if not taken by the top seed. Or they should have had each of the teams do their first run and then do their second run instead of doing all their runs simultaneously. What? Top 4 he thinks the top 4 block pushers should have block pushed again.
Yeah, like a bracket style event.
I thought that was what it was gonna be. I honestly have a weird mix of everything here. I would love to see a block pushing format that was four block pushers, and they do 2 pushes or 3 pushes, and then the best 2 move on. I think 3 pushes, because then you take the top 2 pushes. The best 2 move on, and they just do bracket style like 5-meter sprint, so that you really stress consistency for the best teams, and you still have a lot of data to order the worst teams, because you'll still have at least 3 pushes from the worst teams. So I honestly think that would have been the best way to do that. I don't know why they didn't. They're them. They like to change up the format. Yeah, I know they did 4, so every team in each lane at least once, but I think it's very important because every lane can be slightly different, so that's very fair. But some people are still complaining about that. I actually do like the bracket style, though. I think that's a good idea. So Richard kind of contributed that idea. Thank you, Richard.
I mean, like, I kind of get the idea of that, but at the same time, the event would have taken even longer.
I mean, fair, but I mean, what's a little bit more Marble League? We like Marble League. Are you saying you don't want to watch Marble League? Is that what you're saying?
Didn't you complain about video lengths back in 2019?
Yes, I said 20 minutes is your cap. I said I don't want to see 30, 40-minute videos. I'm saying that wouldn't be good for the channel.
Fair.
20 minutes is your big cap. Oh, here we go. S-Man in the live chat. Isn't Marble guy saying the guy said the video should be too long? Yes, but that's a different topic. I'm looking at 20. I'm looking at 30. No. What do you mean WAF casually destroying me at every point? You can only destroy me on a point if it actually is factually correct to what I said. I didn't say that.
Right. It's been a long time, but I do vaguely remember him saying that the cap should be 20 minutes.
Yeah, and well, I think I did actually say cap 20 minutes, but my point in that argument was for the channel, the wise thing to do is to not push a video over 20 minutes. Oh, I defended the parts of curling. I'm pretty sure I defended the parts of curling, and pretty sure that was the point of that. Because they've broken it into parts instead of doing like a 40-minute hour video. Because that maintains interest. No, I think video length does depend on an event. I'm saying you just shouldn't just go over 20 minutes because then it becomes a little bit just tough on the viewers. Actually, Martino, while you're here, cash in on this because this is kind of an old topic. What do you think video length should be for JMR? Do you think there should be a cap? Do you think they should be longer or shorter in general? What do you think?
It really depends on the event. Some are very repetitive, so they shouldn't be more than 10 minutes long, I think. But others can be 15 minutes. 20 minutes is too long, but 15 minutes is good, I think. Like Magla 1 videos there about this. Because the race is not repetitive. It's fun to watch.
And what about your thoughts on, like, I guess the bracket idea for block pushing?
Sorry. In reality, like the other sports like block pushing, where your goal is to do the best possible, they're not in bracket style. Like shot put, disc, etc. You've got an amount of tries and just do your best. So I think block pushing should stay as it is currently.
He makes a valid point. Actually,
Gotcha.
that might be point of the day if we did something crazy like that, because that actually kind of does sway me a little bit. Like that is an extremely strong point. The basis for events of that style is doing your best run. Okay, not just overall, just who puts up the best number. And that makes sense. Okay, so I have to say that is an extremely valid and possibly swaying argument for not having a bracket block push at the very least. So actually, Martinos, dude, that's got to be that's a really good point right there. Thank you for that. Final email. Here we go. Edu writes in. I love Edu, by the way. Anyone know that? Edu is just like, without Edu, I think I would end the show. Hardest
you say
hurdles.
that about like everything.
No, yeah, I know, but Edu's the best. Hardest hurdles ever. He titles his
The hardest turtles.
email. Edu says, more of my impressions series. I love his impressions. Hurdles. This iteration sort of throws back to the original event of 2016 with actual jumps. I honestly didn't see the need for this change. I consider it hard to find the flow and speed required for a good run, as knocking down any barrier could stop the momentum for the rest of the race, proven by a very rare DNF. I think the fact that the DNF is rare is the reason that the new format works, sir. The fact that it's a possibility, but the chances are 1 in many, many, many runs, keeps the validity of the new format. But I understand where you're coming from. It's kind of like you want to see people finish. You don't want to see the like a team starting out really, really strong and then just hit a hurdle and die. But I will say that's, first of all, how general hurdles works, and also just the way the marbles work and the way it was balanced. A team that starts out really strong and is really fast is probably not going to be the one to hit the hurdle. So just putting that out there. Buck pushing, he says. Each team had 4 runs, giving more margin for error. I wish they didn't display all the runs of the same group in sequence, which eventually took some of the suspense off. But still, that's true. But still a more polished presentation with a full custom board. I think you make a good point. I think it would be weird if they really stagger sequenced it, because then it would be kind of confusing, I think, as well. But
That is true.
I think I like watching each of the I think I like watching each of the 4 runs together and kind of seeing, okay, Oranger started off badly, or Momo started badly. Can they come back in the 3rd run? Can they come back? You know, I just kind of like to see that progression. So I personally still really like block pushing.
Again, yeah, like I really wish I was in a better mood to better judge it, but I at first I thought like staggering they'd been like, oh, they would have to film it out over, but then remember, like, they could literally just film the 4 runs in one go, and then they could edit it and split them up if they wanted to. So there is a way they could do it that's not as time consuming. But I do agree that with you, Brendan, that like it would also kind of feel awkward if you came back to the same run 4 times, and so I guess the best way, I think, for me is really just getting it done in one go.
Yeah,
that way you can
fair enough.
see the progression.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that will actually bring us towards the end. We were going to do a retrospective, but we went long today because Marble League always gets me talking, always gets us talking, and it's Marble League, all right? The other segments that we do, like trivia and retrospective, and emails are always tried and true, but the other 2 segments, those are more for when it's quieter, when we only have a Marbula 1 race, or we only have a single video, or got some SMR, or got nothing at all. That's when those segments really shine and really actually get the attention they deserve, because they have time to be spent on. Marble League is hectic. A lot of events come out, and a Marble League is indeed the reason this show exists. I would not have started this show if Marble League wasn't a thing. This is how the show began. This is how the show was conceived in my head, by watching Marble League in 2019 and being like, you know what? I want to talk about this like a talk radio person. So that's the initial conservation. I don't know if that's a word. But what I was saying is, like, it was conceived in that idea. I really liked Marble League, and Marble League is so unique and so out there that it really deserves that extra time. So if we miss the fun segments we usually do because of that, I'm totally I'm fine with that. It is what it is. The last question I'll address, and then we'll actually outro here, is one of our live chatters said, why do you think ML 2021 isn't receiving that much reception compared to previous years? I'll let all of us actually tune in on this. I'd like to hear Martino's words on this as well. But I'll go first on this. The general problem this has been a general problem for Marvel Sports, all right? And it's not that it's not getting that much attention. It's just not it's not retaining as much as you'd think it should, you know, and so I think it's just, I know, well, obviously the thumbnails are much worse, but that won't affect too much. It'll affect a little bit, but not too much. But I just think it's people watch it and commit for a year or a season and really enjoy it. But then kind of like any other sport where some seasons you might be more invested than others, you just kind of fall away. You just come around next season and you're like, you know what? If I watch event 1, then I'm going to want to watch all event 16, and you may just not feel like you have the time for that. You may forget about it. Kind of like, you know, and I noticed myself doing this with other channels that I really enjoy. I go in and out on channels. I'll like watch a channel like for videos consistently as they release for weeks, and then I'll just kind of fall away from them for months and then come back maybe half a year later. You go in and out on what you prefer, and that's probably happening with Marble League. There's probably some people who are busy when this came out this year, or just like, I don't care as much. It was cool, but whatever. It's not. I didn't get into it this way other people did, and it's just in and out like that. So I think it's just going to be a mix of all that, especially since we're coming out of the COVID thing, or I think we were when this came out. There's like the variant or whatever, but we're kind of coming out of that tough year where Marble Sports, of course, is a very positive thing from that tough year, but it was still a thing that became more popular because of the isolation of the year. So people trying to get back outside, people trying to take a break from YouTube in general, people trying to get off the screens in general, or the other way, people probably just discovered so many new things to do on screens that Marble Sports may not be their first thought of that. So it's just kind of the direction people are going. Marble Sports may not be the priority for them right now. And I just want to remind you when I say this that Marble Sports is still really new. We're 5 years in, all right? Baseball and all those other sports took freaking decades to become something where a few million people or eventually tens of millions were like, okay, I'm going to invest my life into this seasonally. But, I mean, you just got to give it time. We got to let Marble Sports continue for years, build. And I think every year, you do get a few more people that are like, okay, I'm going to be a lifelong fan. All right. There's a few more Marble guys out there every year. I agree with our live chat, Ken JU. People back to work. Novelty has dropped from the trending. It will have to go viral again to get the more millions and stuff. So, actually, I'll defer to Martino here. What are your thoughts on that?
Many people were saying that we are locked down. There is no sport on TV, so let's watch Marble Sports. But for the past 2 weeks, they were the real Olympics. So people were already watching, I think, a lot of sport on TV, and maybe they didn't think of Marble Sports.
That's a fair
that's
point.
fair. I think the real Olympics existing does actually take some attention away. That I have to say, it's something I didn't think about.
Yeah.
And actually, the real Olympics was pretty interesting this year.
That's a fair point. I've never been too big on the Olympics, so it's not big. I've just heard that things. I've heard mixed things about this Olympics. I don't know, but I know that like these circumstances aren't that great. It's not what anyone would have wanted, you know. But it is what it is, and we gotta kind of have to just deal with it. Gotta roll with it, as Brendan would say.
Hey, with the puns. Hitting me with the puns here at 11 o'clock, bro.
Yeah. I would say that like the thumbnail thing does have a bit more of a do, because as we've discussed before, like by changing the art style consistently, it's less recognizable each time, because now because some people just don't subscribe to channels. I'm also guilty of that. Sometimes I will see a thumbnail, maybe like, oh, that's that channel I've been watching before. But because the art style is constantly changing, it's not immediately obvious to the non-consistent viewers if that's the same channel that they watched a long time ago.
That's a fair point. All right, well, guys, I think with that being said, we had a long episode, 118. That's like a long. Oh my God, people come in my room again. But we're gonna have to wrap up here. So, Waf, why don't you take after the Martino? Hey, thanks for coming on the show, man. It's been a pleasure. You made some really good points today that were really interesting to consider. So, thank you.
It's me. It was very good. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
At least for me on, dude.
Yeah. So, with that being said, hey, Waf, take us out for the show, and we'll see. Will things lay next time we come back. And listen, by the time we come back next time, we're going to be 2-3 more events in. We're going to be really getting towards the end of Marble League. And I think, things will start to manifest as far as who might really be the winner here. And I think Momo's got a chance. I really do. But I think they need to be careful to get too complacent when you have the likes of the Savage Speeders and the O'Rangers and the Racers really nipping at their heels. So, thank you, Waf. Take us out.
All right. Roll on, Marble Sports fans.